It's the first time, as far as we know, that Clifford Towers hasn't been used as a projection surface, and we're really, proud that we're the first people to be given the opportunity. Obviously, it's an iconic piece of British landscape, British architecture in one of the most beautiful cities in the country. It's great to be able to tell our story here, a story which impacts on York and the entire history of England. Sven Forkbeard and Canute the Great, the Viking kings.
The sound, deliberate point of focusing on original languages. So the languages that people then would have spoken. So not just the Vikings with Old Norse, but also the Anglo-Saxons speaking Old English as well. So drawn on a lot of text, a lot of different texts, a wide variety of texts. So the story is essentially told in their words. So read a lot of translations and a lot of things in original languages, and worked with a number of different universities throughout England, including University of York. And people volunteered to help us with the project. So all the voices you hear are volunteers from the different universities speaking in these languages, and also in translation as well, so everyone understands what's happening, as well as hearing the very specific sounds of those languages and getting a real feel for the atmosphere. What it must have been like at that time, and to hear all these languages.
Tying together language and the images that we're showing. There's a letter from Canute the Great to the people of England, telling them what kind of king he's going to be and what kind of behaviour he expects from them as subjects. And that is one of the first times that interaction between king and people is written down, and it's only the only place that it exists is scribbled by some monk in some unpointed history into the back of the York Gospels. So there's this letter from a king of England to his people, this very important political document, is recorded here, and we use that. You hear it being spoken and you see it being
It's probably, going out on a limb, it's probably because it's a charter, because it's something that was designed to be read by people who could also read Old English without speaking it. This is possibly the first time that any of it's ever been heard
in public.
Actually spoken in public. So in a funny sort of way, he wrote that, back in 1020. And this is the first time probably the people of England have actually heard it.
The voices that you hear most of them are students or academics from 6 universities across the country, including York, Cambridge,
Aberystwyth, Warwick, Sheffield. A wide range of different people who just wanted to be involved.
We went out on Twitter, on social media, basically said who would like to get involved. The response we got was absolutely fantastic.
Right.
Well, it was a surprise, but then when you think about it, again, these people are passionate about, obviously, it's their field of expertise. How often do they get to do it as a piece of theatre? To go out to the thousands of people who are going to and speak their language and be heard. Because normally they're in a classroom or a lecture hall.
My background, theatre. I started in theatre, but always working with sound, and then also worked with projection as well, and started working with Ross on projection. So I understand how the projection side of it comes together. So when we work together and I'm creating a sound piece, it's with a lot of knowledge on how the whole thing will come together, and not just one side of it. So in that respect, it's a really close collaboration.
I actually trained in biology, but most of my family were in. My father was an English teacher, my mother was a headmistress. And my brother was in. And my sister, both in theatre, so that was always kind of in my environment, I suppose. So then I started working in a projection company. I lived in France for 4 years, working for a company that produces these kind of shows, and then came back to Britain and started doing it here 20 years ago, and been doing it ever since. It's the first time, as far as we know, that Clifford Towers hasn't been used as a projection surface, and we're really proud that we're the first people to be given the opportunity. Obviously, it's an iconic piece of British landscape, British architecture in one of the most beautiful cities in the country. It's great.